everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Quest Podcast, episode 39. It's your boy HSR.
It's your boy Chris Chrome.
And it's your lady friend Bonnie.
And if you don't care about what I'm about to say because you heard it before or whatever, in the description you can click ahead to whatever you want. In the meantime, we're going to talk about the grind of 1,000 subscribers contest. Because basically what we're trying to do is get to 1,000 subscribers before the new year.
Make it happen!
That's right. We need your help. You, the folks who have not yet subscribed. To those who have subscribed, y'all are awesome.
Thank you.
Anyway, how this is going to work is once you subscribe, for every video that you like and then leave a comment on that describes, something about the video that you are currently watching or the album in question, then you are eligible for a raffle entry into this virtual contest where somebody's going to win $100 of Amazon gift money plus the right to request something, and we'll do it quick.
And if it happens before Christmas, then that's just an extra $100 for Christmas shopping.
That's true. That is totally true. And then second place is $50. Third place is $25, along with the review for each of those. Obviously, we're going to do first places ones first. And the best part is if you've already liked and commented in the past, it's totally already entered into this. So, yay, congrats to all you who have already subscribed.
But we still want to hear from you. So comment.
So for every video you do this, you increase the likelihood of your ability to win. And then once we hit 1,000, we'll give it out. And that's how it works. On that note, Christopher, why don't you do that thing that you were so eloquent at doing?
This week's Classic Quest album review, we decided to go with Mos Def, Black on Both Sides.
Now, this one was highly requested. Not quite Mad Villainy highly requested, but it was pretty up there. People just kept throwing it up in, these lists of, here's, 10 albums you could do. And so we decided to go with Mos Def. I mean, come on, he's awesome. And it was, one of those albums where I was just super curious. I feel like it's something that I'd been meaning to listen to since 2008, and I hadn't gotten to it. So
I just want to know now, hearing this is where, I used to always say, I guess I still do, say Mos Def when I mean, most definitely. And I've never listened to him. So it'll be a fun experience.
I've heard some of the stuff before. I've been listening to the Mathematics track for a decade, so that is not new to me. I was excited to see that's on this. But I know him better as an actor than I do as a rapper. I've heard him on songs. I know him from things. But I even listened to the Black Star album once upon a time, but I didn't really... It was before we started doing this, so let's say I was in the dark era of my hip-hop understanding, and so we'll get to that one day. But this as seems to be the case, this is basically the first time I really took Mos Def seriously and gave him a listen. But I know all about the stuff he's been up to since he hasn't been so active in music and his activism and his fascinating life, and he changed his name. And we're gonna go with Mos Def because it's what the album's associated with.
But now it's Yasin Bey.
Right.
I don't know where he got that from.
Islam, I believe. I don't know what it means. I'm not going to pretend like I know. I just know it has something to do with that. And then, honestly, I really admire and respect the dude. And he's a good actor. And he's fun.
He's in Dexter. He was in Dexter, apparently. I don't know. I've never watched anything with him in it, but...
I watched Dexter. I don't remember. But...
Well, I know he was in that movie with Jack Black with the record stores. Anyway, there's a lot of fun stuff with him in it that I've seen that is not him rapping. Anyway, I don't have a lot more to go. I know that this is just kind of rambly so far. Sorry, it gets better once we start talking about the music. If you're new here, I promise.
This is the first time I've ever listened to Mos Def. Never had any inclination to want to listen to it. Never had any want.
So then I said, Chris, we're doing this album.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we did this, and it's a great album.
Okay, we'll get there.
And a lot to it.
I'm Bon.
Like I said before, it's not really anything I've listened to before, so let's give it a whirl.
So the title Black on Both Sides, as well with the cover here that we have. What do you guys feel?
Was it the album cover was black on both sides? I didn't have a chance to check out.
Or was it a vinyl?
Oh, well, I guess so. Maybe that works.
Or maybe it's he's black on all sides.
I think he's just alluding to equality, and no matter what side he's still staying black. He's not gonna fade to like white or.
I feel like it also has the double symbolism of hip hop with that, because I don't know. I picture the vinyl with black on both sides. I know it's probably got something to do with the skin color and all that. It was just the first thing I pictured when I heard it.
Is that him? Like that's him?
Yeah, that's Mos Def on the cover. And it's his face, the black background. It's really like rugged looking. Like he
stands out because like the whole like the background behind it is black.
Does anybody have an age at this point? How old is he at this point?
Young.
Okay.
Like late, like maybe 20, younger, something around then.
Okay.
I don't know like exactly, but I don't think he's an old man quite yet at this point.
Well, if you guys know, let us know.
Well, we can Google it and then we can tell you in like a minute.
Yeah.
So,
that too.
So we'll check that before we are done the review. There's no reason to rely on the people for stuff that takes 6 seconds to look up, dude. Anyway, I like this cover. It's one of those covers where like you just look into his eyes and there's something about his face and the way he looks at you that makes you want to hear what he has to say. Like this man has a story. And it's a story you want to hear. And it's one of the few covers I feel like where just with the look in his eyes, he has told me so much about what's about to come. And that I thought was
it is a beautiful picture. Like, if you just think of it as like a piece of art, like it is like a beautiful portrait of someone. So, I think that's pretty cool. Like, it's got great lighting. You know, you can really see into his eyes. Yeah. It's really close. I don't know. I thought it was a cool cover.
All right. Well, fear not of men and all that jazz.
All the time, yo, Mos, what's gonna happen with hip hop? I tell him, you know what's gonna happen with hip hop.
So first of all, before we talk about the song, he was about 25 when this album came out. We Googled it. See, Chris, we can do that for these people. And we looked silly before. We look less silly now. What? Yeah. Better late than never. Hashtags. I dig this track. I wasn't really, like, the first time I heard it, like, I listened to it, and the whole album kind of blended into this, like, seamless effect. Because, like, the songs are all kind of attached together, and it just kind of vibes really well. Mm-hmm. But then when I was paying attention to what he was saying, I was just bamboozled at this point. Like, right off the jump, like, he's kind of introducing, like, the idea of, like, first he shouts out God.
Brooklyn.
And then he, like, just kind of jumps into, like, what is hip-hop to him and how hip-hop is the people. And it's strange to him that, like, people perceive hip-hop as this, like, fucking crazy, like, entity. But even before then, he's like, 21st century, 20th century done. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have not, mainly us. And you're just like, whoa. I don't know.
Humans aren't changing.
Yeah.
But, like, the problem...
Perspectives.
So, like, I guess my problem with this review is most of the lyrics are this fucking dense. And that's...
Well, and, like, this song in particular, like, nothing rhymes. It's just kind of him, like, talking, like, with the music. But it's cool.
It's almost like a spoken word poem. Yeah. And he, like, you just feel his delivery on it. Like, he has this kind of, like, pensive nonchalance in the way he's saying this stuff. Like, it's important for us to hear what he's got to say. And then he just kind of describes, it's about 3 minutes of this, like, straight. And he's, like, describing stuff in, like, hip-hop. Like, if we smoke, then hip-hop's a smoked-out thing. If we do this, then hip-hop's that. How do we fix hip-hop?
Like, we are
fix
hip-hop.
Ourselves.
Like, he's touching upon role models again, like, the whole concept of making music and showing a side of entertainment that is part role modeling what other kids are looking at you. So,
but it's also just like the perception of hip-hop is defined by the behavior of the people. And then he's kind of like, but how do we change the people? And he goes into it. And then it kind of like ends a bit with like the corruption and like the illusion of the record industry. I like this part. The world is overrun with the wealthy and the wicked, but God is sufficient in disposing of affairs. Gunmen and stockholders try to merit my fear, but God is sufficient over plans they prepared. And you just see, like, off the jump, he's making it clear, like, his allegiance is to God, and everything else is kind of, like, happening around him. And he's just trying to take a step back and be like, man, if people were to... And, like, he talks a bit about, like, value being defined...
Yeah, for sure.
...based off of, like, yeah.
Well, what he says, I think, is it's like, you're not defined by, like... How sexy you are. You're not how by how much money you make. You're defined by what God thinks of you and like your value to God. Like, it's sort of like, like a balance game, I guess. And I think that that's like, it's really cool. And it's like straight off the bat, like it's like right into this, like, like he's obviously like a believer, and like this is what he's believing in, and he's, he knows that we can change. We are the people that make hip hop. We are the music. So it's like whatever it comes out to be, it's because of us. And I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Nice. I felt with along with the title, "Fear Not of Man," I felt like he was also trying to preach some type of equality. That just because somebody has more something that you don't, more money, more better clothes or whatever, you shouldn't fear that. You shouldn't feel intimidated because you're doing what you got to do. And there's a lot of like not spiritual, but like soul searching in this song. I felt a little bit just and questioning. So
they always say, someone's like a God-fearing person, and like I think that's what he wants. Like he wants don't fear humans, fear God.
Mm-hmm. Like he's trying to imply that a lot of the things we're doing to try to establish value within ourselves are kind of ridiculous, and that but through God you'll find self-worth, and that is really what guides him, and everything else just kind of comes around with it. Because I find it interesting how he talks about hip-hop, and then how he talks about how labels are using people at the end, and that's how he ends the verse. And then he just explodes into this like mantra chorus type thing, and it's just got this great funk, and it almost like summarizes the song into this little itty bit. And then he just kind of ad-libs a minute, and he's just like, I can almost picture him dancing in the studio while he's recording and just exploding on the mic. And the beat is just, you can't sit still to this guy's beat.
It makes you want to like groove.
Do you know who produced the beat? Mos Def produced this beat, and that made it even twice as cool for me, because it like you just felt like I just pictured him in the lab by himself. Just maybe he had people with him, but he's like working on and he's like dancing around. And I just put one straight Chris Chrome on this, but like I just got into this vibe with it, and you know what? It's so uplifting to hear it. Like I don't know, I was blown away. And then he brings the hook back in one more time, and I was like, wow, there's no real song structure here. Like it's just this poem slapped with some choruses, slapped with some crazy beats and rhythms and like ideas, man.
Yeah.
Like if we were ever to do a track by track album breakdown, like for real, we could probably talk about this song for a fucking hour for how much depth is in here. So keep in mind that there's a lot more to be said. But like, holy shit, I was blown away. Like for me, this guy is like the density of this is like Bible verses, like, and just how much he's packing into these lines and ideas. And you can go.
It's nice. It's nice to listen to, and it's nice to see the the difference in writing through various artists. And he really has this nice way of using words to depict a bigger, deeper message.
So yeah, I give it a 4.5 on 5. I know I hyped up a lot, but there are songs I like more on this album. And at the end of the day, this has got this strange trance-like feel to it that, it's not for every single, arbitrarily speaking, it's a 4.5 on 5. It's not like the best song on this album. Anyway.
Yeah, I also gave it a 4.5. I mean, I thought it was a cool song. I like the beat. I like the flow. I like everything about it. I mean, it was pretty cool, but it just wasn't like perfect. I don't know, but I mean, like it was still pretty good.
Nice. I as well gave it a 4.5 on 5. I think that I really got into the message of not trying to fear each other and trying to just be and coexist with one another without having to feel intimidated. It was really, really creatively written. So.
Cool. Dope. Let's talk about hip hop.
Yeah.
Aren't we doing that already?
Move from the gate, voice cued on your tape, putting food on your plate. Many crews can relate.
She the queen of. Anyway. So this track is very layered. That's my first thoughts. Like, listen, if we stumble through this album review and we fuck up a lot and it doesn't sound like we know what we're talking about,
it's because we don't.
well, it's because, like, I got, like, a lot of the general sense of it, but I also feel like if I were to review this album again after listening to it 100 times, I might only then have a beginning to, like, really rap. Because it's just, maybe I'm exaggerating, but, like...
I feel like it's, like, a lot more straightforward than you make it out to be.
I don't know about that, man. Because there's a lot of little lyrics to dissect and really think about and talk about, like... So, I mean, scrutinize my literature from the large to the miniature. I mathematically administer, subtract the wax selector, wheel it back. I'm feeling that. I like that. I mean, that was just taken out of context, but I like the math aspect brought into that. And then it just kind of, anyway, he's describing, like, at first his, like, rhyme writing process, right?
Yeah.
That math part was part of it, which I thought was cool. You're right. It's not as complex, but I mean, like, I don't even know where to start when talking about any of these songs.
Well,
in a lot of
okay.
ways.
Well, it's just about hip hop.
It's about the different layers of hip hop. I'm going to start with something I quoted. He said, hip hop is prosecution evidence and out of court settlement. And I was like,
Hold on. And then add space for liquor, sick without benefits. Huh.
I only really focused on that line. If you want to add on to it, great.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I really got, like, it's kind of obvious. Like, a lot of the rappers, a lot of artists, a lot of hip-hop artists, they make a lot of songs that kind of just, they snitch on themselves. How much drugs they sell, how many people they've killed, and stuff like that. And they're not as much as, and I guess I feel a little hypocritical because I enjoy that type of music, but I also know that it's artistic, not that I'm not supposed to follow it. And what Mos Def is saying is, like, this is what at least what I got from this line. It's like he's kind of calling out that what you say is affecting other things.
We'll just take the next line. Add space for liquor.
Yeah.
So every time they call out any one of these liquor brands, it's just free advertising. I mean, so like the first verse is kind of like he starts out kind of like writing his verse, and then it migrates into like the birth of hip hop in Brooklyn.
Yeah. But like how hip hop is just like anything that you want it to be. Like, there's no like defined rules. It is, any sort of expression that you have, and it's, if you're black, then it's hip hop. Like, it's like what you do. It's like about your life and about like the struggles and everything. And I think that like that kind of music, like whatever you choose to do with that beat or whatever, there's no like defined term for like what hip hop could be.
And then in the second verse, it kind of transitions into like the state of hip hop as he perceives it right now, in which he has those kinds of lines. I guess I mean it's complex because there's a lot of like, I feel like most of what he says on this album is a double entendre in a lot of ways, and there's a lot to think about and really like absorb on it. And I have listened to this album a few times, but I feel like there's a lot here. This album is dense. Sorry, I know I'm being redundant, but like I was overwhelmed with joy as I like listened to this. The beat is just stellar. Like, it's normally, I guess, not this kind of beat I would go for, but the way he hits it and the way he delivers these lines, it's all enthralling. The language and poetry is excellent. This track's a 5 for me.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like you learn a bit about where he's from. He's educating you on what hip-hop is in this song. Now, a lot of what this quest is about is what is hip-hop, and I feel like Mos Def really understands what it is. Like, he's just breathed it his whole life, and the way he spits it on this album is just so authentic and pure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Nice.
I mean, like, I think that, like, he's telling people, like, if you choose hip-hop, like, it's going to make your life better because you're going to have, better successes. You're going to, be, closer to God maybe, or, have, anyways, what else? Like, you're going to be better, but you still are going to be black. And you have to remember that because that's, it's who you are. It's like, it's what makes the hip hop, is the color of your skin, where you're from, everything like that. And I think that that's kind of just what he's saying in this song.
But also that, like, how you behave again is the reflection of what hip-hop is. Be careful with it, like, treat it right,
Yeah.
I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I got this sense that he was also saying, like, black people started hip-hop. Because didn't he touch upon Elvis, right?
Later on.
That's a different song.
That's later on, okay.
But yes, definitely, and he's right.
Yeah.
I was just like, I felt there was a lot of just trying to bring it back and trying to make people acknowledge that.
I think it's worth saving that conversation for the other song.
Okay.
Because he really touches on, a bunch.
Because there's like a whole song on that subject, and this one's more about the birth of hip-hop, I feel, like the state of hip-hop.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I gave it a 4.5 on 5. I did enjoy the song. My only thing is that like we said, it is very dense, and I did kind of I lose track a little bit. Like, there's so much at least for me, there's so much to process that I slip sometimes, and I'll catch him at like 4 or 5 bars later, and I'm just like, shit, like, let's go back or read or something. But it's very dense, and I feel that takes away a little bit from my enjoyment to the song.
Yeah, but I bet you'll like it a lot more once you learn it.
Yeah, but still, I like it's a good song. Like, the flow's on point, the voice is pretty cool. It's not so. Anyway, I can't remember the song, but there's a song that I found was they overlapped his voice. They didn't overlap him on this one, so
Okay.
I liked it.
I give this one a 4. I mean, I thought it was good.
Okay. So let's talk about love.
You wanna stay out. It was love for the thing that made me stay in the house. Spending time right around.
You got this hook where he's like getting lost up in his head, and then he just gotta let it out onto the paper, and he's not gonna be able to stop until like it's done. And then it just flips into my parents loved each other, and I was born from love. Like, I was a choice, and that love is amazing, and I find it like inspiring. And then he just kind of talks about his birth and his upbringing, and then right back into the birth and upbringing of hip hop and stuff. I don't know if it was this one, but I think it might be. Like, I thought it was interesting when he talked about how the streets went dark because of like how people were cutting the power for like the parties or tapping. It might not have been on
maybe.
this track.
I don't know.
But it just popped into my head as I was saying that, like, just that kind of shit, and he's just lacing it in, like.
But I think that that's important, like what you were saying about, his father was like, was in love when he was, making love, and like that love was all passed on to him, and that's what, like that's who he is now. Like, he's got all this love in him, and like, it was essentially made. He was made that way.
And then, like, the second verse kind of follows through, and I felt it was more about perfecting himself and his craft and his everything, and it's just delivered so eloquently. I really like this line that I wrote down. Like, this one was less striking to me than other ones. It was good, don't get me wrong, but it's a little more straightforward. But it was like IMC, which means I must cultivate the earth, straight back, heartbeats and heart work. And it's just like, you get this like feeling that Mos Def really wants to just give back to everybody. Like, he's gonna put in the time and the effort, and he's just gonna grind, and he's just gonna, like, he's just so humble. Like, and I love the idea of he's basically just flat out saying, I'm an MC, so I am a role model, and not just a role model. I'm gonna be a teacher, and I'm gonna go out there and cult. Like, it's so inspirational just to hear him come like that. I mean, this track, the beat didn't do it as much for me, but like the theme and the message and everything else was really still on point. I like the way it has this rugged and raw, like it's almost like deliberately imperfect. Like, it's more about how he's expressing it than like trying to craft this perfect experience where, say, Eminem would make like the perfect song. Mos Def is trying to make this raw, beautiful emotional explosiveness here, and I feel it, and I don't know, I gave this one a 4 mostly because of the beat.
Okay. I mean, it was very heartfelt. He's got a lot of love to give. He's got a lot of, it's love is what keeps him out of trouble. He writes because of love. He writes about love. So there's a lot of, it's a lot of love. So, there's that. It was a nice song. And there was the Eric B. and Rakim, I know you got Soul, that he gets, like, there's a couple of lines that are taken from that, and
he directly quoted. I didn't write the line up, but he directly quoted.
It was I start to think, and into the paper, I sink into the paper like I was ink. Like, that's what he says. But I think that that's a little bit different. But like for the first part, like, it's the same beat, it's the same everything, like that he copies from them. And I read somewhere that he's like the 14th, like best MC ever, and I think that that's cool that he can like quote them, like giving them like, he knows that they're better, and like that they're from Brooklyn, and so he's shouting them out, like, because they're great. Why not?
Yeah, I like it.
Nice.
So I gave this one a 4.5.
I gave this one a 4, mostly out of preference, but I really like the love message. I really like that he's trying to spread happiness and wanting to give back and wanting to show people that, look, all you need is love. You don't need to have violence. You don't need to be negative. So, pretty awesome.
Awesome. Let's talk about Miss Fat Booty.
Gym tone your frame up with sugar and spice. The only thing that you made up. I tried to play.
Yo, so the video for this song, because Chris didn't watch it, I just had to bring this up. It fit the story of the song perfectly and visualized the entire narrative in everything Chris Chrome wants out of a video. Like, had he watched it, he would have given the song even more points for how perfect it was. Kind of flowed in and out. You had like him like in the car with his boys, kind of telling the story.
My soul
and then
is like
it,
just
like,
ripping
cuts
as you speak,
over
dude.
to like Mos Def.
I'm just here
Even included with like the lyrics.
Yeah, the lyrics were kind of, but not all of them. Just
No.
a lot of them were just
Listen,
kind of.
in my defense, I've been packing boxes all week.
You know
okay,
what?
so
In his defense, he's moving, sure, but he missed out on the opportunity to get everything he's wanted out of a music video forever.
All of Miss Booty.
This is an amazing song. That beat is dope. Like, you just get fucking hooked, and there's like he just starts telling you the story.
wait, is she a stripper?
No.
Okay.
So he meets this girl, right?
She like blows him off. Like
like
to
they're at
start
the
with.
club and she's dancing and he blows him off and she's like, I'm leaving, actually, when he asked her to dance. And then he sees her like an hour later and it's like, oh, that's...
He gets introduced to her.
No. That came, I think, at another time.
No.
Because that's in that scene 2. Because this is still scene 1. He like sees
Yeah,
her.
he's at the club.
But then scene 2, he's at the club later on and things are different. And like time has elapsed, and then he gets introduced because she references like, sorry about the other night, like when they're sitting there after, right?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I was really into this story. It was fucking cool. I got like engrossed into the narrative, all right? And so like, anyway, he sees her later on in the night.
He just pretends like he doesn't know her. He's just like, okay, sure.
Yeah, that's when he meets her the second time when his buddy introduces, because he's gotten the introduction, like, this is Mos Def, he's cool. All of a sudden he's special. Then they're like late to stop in the VIP section next to each other. And then that happened.
I feel like she's a bit of...
But I love this part.
Gold
we
digger?
moved to the
Like a
hold
little
on.
bit.
But we moved to the booth reserved for the crew, especially, and Honey Love ended up sitting directly next to me. I'm type polite, but now I'm looking at her skeptically because baby girl got all the weaponry, designer fabric shoes and accessories, chinky eye, sweet voice is fucking with me mentally. It's like, whoo! Like, he's just sitting there, like, this is too good to be true. And he's, like, breaking down the situation of the girl. And he's just right there in his head and shit. Anyway.
The
so
storytelling is on point.
Then he, like, gets up to leave, and she's like, yo, let's go dance.
It's like,
And
you
then-
have to dance with me before you
and then they
leave.
go dance.
But it's funny how suddenly now that she knows he's Mos Def is like the way she's acting like this now.
Yeah.
And then they, like, start talking on the phone, exchange digits and shit, and then they end up hooking up for a while.
You're dating. They
And
date
then-
for a few months.
And then 9 months flew like symptoms when shorty not around. I need more than to knock it down. I'm really trying to lock it down. Midnight we go.
But
we
this
hook up,
follows the
and-
love song, so he's clearly a loving guy, and he wants to love her, and he,
Anyway, so the girl
But I
ends up
think
not
he's
being able to
also-
commit.
I
And
think
then-
he's also facing, because he also deals with paranoia and he's very paranoid about like a lot of things that happen around him. So he's probably also facing like, this is what I feared. I feared that you were gonna play me and I'm gonna fall in love. And oh look, I fell in love.
And then, yeah, the girl dips out, and next thing you know, as soon as he wants to lock her down in a serious thing, she's out with the next guy dancing on the floor. And that's how the song just kind of ends.
no, he's with a girl.
She's...
She is with an Asian girl.
Okay, but...
But like it doesn't really like tell us like whether she is a stripper or she was just with like she was found at a strip club with this girl.
I full on think she's a stripper. The way
maybe.
like because it meant if I think about it, it talked about going down. Like at the end, he talked about like going down on her for money or something like that. Like he.
And like,
one thing I don't like, I hate how he just suddenly ends everything.
I love it.
Yeah, because he just goes what, and then it ends.
See, I thought that was great. I thought because this is the story of this girl, and that's the end. As soon as he finds this out, he's dipping out on it.
I get that, but every song just ends. Like, well, no, not
lot
true,
of them
because
do,
there's a lot
Most
of songs
of them
that
just
fade
flow
out.
into the next track.
Yeah.
But I like it. I feel like what else needed to be done in this song? He came in, he got his goal done, he accomplished the point of the story.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, look, like I said earlier, it's not conventional songwriting in the way that maybe we're... Like, look at this song. In the middle of scene 2, he just breaks to pop in a little chorus again. Because he starts off the song with that chorus where it's got that girl singing, and then he's kind of like talking over as
But
he's
you know
telling
what?
it.
It's also
The girl
like,
singing is Aretha Franklin.
I apologize. I'm really that ignorant about certain things.
But I like, but sometimes the chorus, it gives you this softer feel, and I like how that random break was pretty cool, cause like in feeling emotional like that, you could switch between anger, pain, sad, like just at an instant without even understanding. So him and Mos Def being able to convey that was pretty cool.
I just thought it was one of the more like, there's a lot of stories out there, but not many like this. Like, this is a great tale. Probably it's realistic. It's probably something he's dealt with. It felt like it was almost like this is a story of a girl that he knew, and he was just kind of relaying the situation, and it was
Well,
nice.
she's clearly not like the girl to take home, like the good girl that you want to be with and whatever, because
But man, did she have a booty.
yeah, because I mean you can see it from the front even, like that's how big her butt is, and I guess that's a good thing for some people. And
I gave this a 5. It is between the beat, the storytelling, the way he rhymes the song, the language used. There's no flaw in this track, and the video, it was amazing.
okay. I mean, I gave it a 4. I mean, I thought it was great. I did think it was good storytelling. I mean, it's not my favorite song, but I mean, I like it. I mean, it definitely tells you something, and he keeps your interest the whole way through.
I gave it a 4.5 on 5. I think that it was a really cool track. It was very descriptive in the way he told the story. I just wouldn't really go back to this. I think that this isn't the type of real. This isn't the type of song
Understood. Slow down. It's the speed law.
Leave on a humble black steel in the hour. Some of my skill form of power. My bones crush.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the speed law. This is the track where Mos Def is basically like being like, whoa. Stay in your lane, know where you're at, and stop trying to rush this shit. Take your time, perfect the craft. Look at me. I'm the mighty Mos Def, and I'm about to drop some of the best fucking rhyming you're ever going to hear. And holy shit.
basically kind of questioned the whole living in the fast lane mentality. I got this sense of like I felt like he was calling out people who were like spending cash quick and like just partying and living up the quick life, and he's just there like, y'all need to relax and enjoy what's going on. You need to kick back and be like, hey, you want to make good music? Take a moment to see the good around you, like.
But it's like also take the time to like make good. Stop trying to rush this shit, like, right? Like,
But I thought it was more. It's interesting. We all got like a little bit different. I thought it was more about like the fast rappers. Like, you guys are like, you might be fast.
that's also part of it.
But like you're not. Take your time, slow it down, get it right, relax. And you'll get your message across even better than like these fast rappers. And he's trying to like make the he makes there's a car sound in it, but he says like if you go too fast you're gonna crash. And so I think that's where he's going. Like, he's like, I'm not gonna crash.
See,
I'm
I guarantee you
taking
it's
my time.
about all of these things. Remember when I said this shit was layered? I thought at first I thought it was going to be a lot about that, but it seemed to be a lot more about just doing it right. And I do feel like, because at this time a lot of fast rappers are probably appearing, so that like the chorus seemed to kind of play in a little more to the fast rapper thing to me than anything else.
The only thing I didn't get was like there's constantly like a noise in his lyrics, or like in the beat it's like a wah or whatever, and I didn't know what it was that was being said.
Me neither. But I
So
really
if you know,
like
let
the
us know.
line, seldom seen but often heard, while your jams is barely heard. Just my name is a daily word. And you're just like, it's true. How many people really do just go Mos Def?
That's what I was doing, and I didn't even know who he was.
And that's the thing. It's like,
And he's not deaf.
But like the thing is his delivery, and he goes quick on this song, right? Like, I think he goes faster here than maybe any other track that we've heard so far in terms of
Well,
Ross.
it fits the title of Speed Law, so.
So I think what he's trying to do is a little bit floss and be like, look, I can be quick and tricky too, and look how on point he is with it. Now, granted, he's not like Tech 9 tricky here, but I bet he could do it. He just chooses not to, and it's a really interesting thing to me.
I think that he takes his time and he wants his messages to be heard.
So,
And like, so if it's too fast, like you're gonna miss something. And I think that's not what he wants. Like he doesn't want it to be so fast that you're like trying to like listen to everything. I think what in a lot of his stuff, and he is like an activist, and which we do find out. But I think that it's he definitely wants his messages to be heard.
I feel like, yeah, and one of the criticisms we've had about these fast rappers lately, if you really, your whole album is just double time, quick, nonstop, no variation, nobody can understand what you're saying. Look, like, it's like,
Nice.
I could probably flip and do the entire podcast in double, triple time, but you wouldn't understand a damn thing. So, like, when you do, like, presentations at work and shit, you often find yourself even the slow people find themselves speeding up, and you're always, like, slow down. I gotta make sure that what I'm saying can be understood by the audience. So as I've been going through these hip-hop albums, I'm noticing that, yeah, there's some fast songs that can pop off, but really, if I think back to the Big Pun album, I can't remember most of the lyrics, but I can remember lyrics on other albums. Even though the Big Pun album was fucking super, yeah, I can remember that, but, like, it was hype. But, man, there were so many lyrics flying at me that, like, short of taking the time, like I get where he's coming from. Sometimes, like, if that's your gimmick, if that's all you've really got going and you don't have the bars to back it up and you haven't taken the time to perfect it. And I think part of it, too, is that a lot of guys are just rapping fast. So when I started trying to rap and shit, I used to go really fast because it was a way to avoid being on rhythm. You can hide the fact that you're off rhythm when you're going quick. And this is just something most guys who are going quick won't tell you. It's because they can't rap slow. It's because they don't have rhythm. And then you develop the rhythm, and you can still rap fast, but you can do so much more with it when you slow it down. You can say so much more. You can deliver it so differently. And I think part of it is just like, look, if you are going to go as far as to, like, do it, make sure you do it right. I don't know. This song was just straight, like, Mos Def fucking flossing to me. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I mean, look, there was a lot to it, in my opinion. There's so many more subjects we could talk about this person. You guys can keep going on. I'm into this album.
Cool.
Nice.
I mean, like, the beat was interesting. I thought it was good. I think I said everything I needed to. For me, I gave this one a 4 on 5.
4.5 on 5. Flow is crazy. I find it a little, I want to say, ironic that he's calling out, if we're talking about fast rappers, that he's rapping fast while calling them out.
It's a little bit, it's ironic, yes, but it was deliberate, because how could you call out fast rappers? Because he's a slow rapper for the most part, right?
I understand that point. I'm just saying.
So it's not that ironic?
Okay.
Plus, it's not that fast.
Well, no, it's just like, it's funny how it's the same, for me, it's the same concept of rappers who call out, like, mumble rappers and mumbling. It's like, when rappers talk about rappers who are doing this.
I want to counter that a little bit differently. When rappers who go fast go to mumbling to make fun of them, they're dumbing down their style. If Mos Def had written this song and had rapped slow the whole way through, a fast rapper's response would have been, yeah, but you can't even rap fast, so what you saying? So he was left with no choice but to write this quickly to prove he could, and he could do it better. Like, it's something I've seen battle rappers do when they go against fast guys. They will always do, like, a verse in the fast guy style just to be like, bitch, I can do what you're doing, but check it, I can still destroy you in your own style. And it's kind of like that to me when I hear it. So yeah, there's a degree of irony to it, but I don't see it as this negative connotation.
I didn't want to make it negative. I just found it a little ironic.
But, like, yeah, I'm just trying to explain. That's the brilliance of it. It's not the negative side. It's the brilliance of this track is that he did that.
Fair. The beat was pretty cool to me. So, other than that, I didn't really have much else.
Cool. Do it now. Give it a 5. So you got Busta Bus and Mos Def basically rapping like they're gonna do it to death.
But Busta just, like, takes over this song. Like, he's just, like...
Extra.
He's just so intense, and, like, that, like, everything is just, like, so intense to him. I don't know. He's Busta Rhymes. I don't know how to explain him.
He's Busta Rhymes. Just a little thing. I didn't like that
I love the shrill sound that
like right when
the
he
shrill
started.
siren sound that was underneath Busta Rhymes'
my
verses
God,
on
that
the
annoyed the
was
living.
my
But it was
favorite
weird.
out
It
of
was
me.
different only for his like.
That's why it was amazing, because it complemented, right? Because as you pointed out, there was this heightened intensity with Busta Rhymes, and part of that was the sonic experience. Because look, Mos Def got a smoother, calmer style. He got a smoother, calmer beat. Then Busta Rhymes is Busta Boss with his fucking ridiculous thing.
Busta Boss.
Woo-ha! Up in the like, I love the part how when they do it, because the chorus, they're just like talking.
It's back and
It's like,
forth. It's like they're just
Mos
hyping
Def,
it.
what's up? How you doing? Real good. And like for real.
Yeah,
That,
that's
and
how
they
it
go
goes.
through it like that, and they're like ripping it. And I like how in the third verse they each took a chance to like shout out their own songs, and how like I guess their latest singles or whatever. Oh man, there's lyrics.
and they
like,
also mentioned that they have white fans now.
But like the format's amazing, right? So you have verse 1, it's like Mos Def Busta. Verse 2, Mos Def Busta, and then it's a lot more back and forth, and that's really fun.
Yeah.
I like how Mos Def's like, yes, the cut should be the deepest to penetrate beyond the muscles, walls, inner regions. First he was icing me, connect with the staring at your speakers. Heard the rhyme head high at what you staring at your sneakers. You shy now. Like the guy who is child, because this is like about like a front, like you come here, be ready to battle, right? Is a lot of the theme of this song, and here you have Mos Def being like you was all talking this shit up until that. I might have misquoted it a bit. It's fine. Up until the point where he heard Mos Def start rhyming, and then he's like just staring at his shoes, like nervous and shy and all of that, and like Busta Rhymes just comes in with even.
And just destroy. And I've always
So
liked
many good
Busta's
lines.
energy. I've always liked the way he's just been so like eccentric and over dramatic with what he does. It's just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously both mad talented, and this is what they're saying, like in this song, that they both can do whatever. They both are strong. They both work together, and they're cool guys, and they just sound like I kind of want to just hang out with them.
But there's
your
also this
house?
degree of like, make sure that if you're gonna come here rhyming, that you're prepared to handle the
Yeah, Bonnie.
ferocity. Like,
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, Bonnie.
like you get the sense that these are guys who grew up on the streets, rhyming on street corners, and they're ready for it. And they're just, this is like a warning that they're gonna do it to death, and you better be willing to do it to death, or else. I thought this was out the park, fucking amazing. It makes me want to review Busta Rhymes. That's how amazing it was.
We should.
So there's
Maybe
a good
see
chance
that one coming up soon.
it's very possible that we'll see a Busta Rhymes review soon. Anyway, it's a 5 on 5 for me between the awesome transitionary nature of the beat, the dynamic alive feel of the song, the intense word plays and aggressive bars. Like, Mos Def sounds vicious. As much as you're saying that Busta stole the show on energy, I feel like he did steal the show on delivery, but Mos Def stole the show with bars.
That's true. That's fair. I gave this one a 4. I thought it was like a good song, but I didn't think it was great. But I definitely think that, like, for me, Busta stood out. But like you were saying, like, Mos Def was definitely a competitor on this song. He stood out as well. So yeah.
We gotta love them both. 5 on 5. It's insane. Like I said, the energy that Busta brings, the talent that Mos Def has, the clear contrast between the smooth and the eccentric is insane.
Cool.
All right, let's talk about Got.
What you got?
For them big world cats, with ice on their limbs and big rims on their act. You rolling around.
This song is great.
Yeah.
It's basically like Mos Def is saying, if you don't want to get robbed, don't show up.
Don't do stupid shit.
Like, flash your wealth and talk shit. And there's just, look, that's basically the whole song is, why are you being stupid?
Like,
Like
you're like, I grew up in Brooklyn, and not me, but him. And like, he's saying that he grew up in Brooklyn and he knows what's up. And like, if you were to like come here and do all that stuff, yeah, you're gonna get like killed or something.
And he's got bars like high posting when you far from home, or like high posting when you
all
all
alone.
alone. Now, this would seem to be clear common sense, but cats be living off sheer confidence.
Yep.
And especially if you take this kind of a message and you think about this
like
Instagram era of threats and people just talking all this shit and
It's
stuff.
like, even
now,
if you're
it's
like, if you're flossing, like, when you're overseas or in another city or whatever, it's like, okay. And if you're all by yourself, you're going to get your ass kicked because you're all by yourself.
But you're not in
And,
your
like,
same element. Like, you're not in your same environment. It's like, it's different. when you're in your hometown, if you're flossing, it's like you
and
still
even
know.
to that end, if you're in your hometown and you're all by yourself,
Yeah, shit still happens, but I still think like when you're on your own, even in your hometown, you still have a sense of confidence because you know like the
I think
corner.
Mos Def is specifically saying that's the problem. Like literally, the line is like when you're not at home and when you're all alone.
Really?
And then people.
I mean, I understand not at home, but I mean,
Yeah, but, like, when
the
he's-
line is like cats be living off sheer confidence. So that's what he's saying is you shouldn't have that confidence that you can walk around with like hey,
With like
this.
money,
So it's
flossing
like,
money.
come on now, Ak, what you expect? Got a month's paychecks dangling off your neck, and while you crystal sipping, they rubbing up their mittens with heat and mint conditions to start getting.
But like that's even it. It's like if you're like even in another city, like there's gonna be people waiting for you to come home to kill you or steal your shit or whatever.
And so when you're sitting there like, yeah, I got this bottle, and you're popping in the club, and basically when you're flossing to anybody in the area, anywhere that you have money, there's gonna be people coming because it's like it's backed up at the end of the song with lines like, "There's hunger in the street that it's hard to defeat. Many steal for sport, but more steal to eat." So it's contextualizing. He's like, look, these people aren't doing this to come and just take your chain. It's just that their kids are starving. So you're gonna come here with your chain. And it really makes me think of these days when you see how somebody's chain gets robbed by somebody else, and then Instagram pictures of people wearing the chain show up and all of that stuff happen. And it's like, man, Mos Def warned everybody in 99. His album came out in 99.
Yeah.
And that's one of the striking things that I started to get the impression of at this point on the album. It's not the only song where it's like, fuck, Mos Def warned us in 99. And man, this album's got this very heavy, prophetic, relevant message, like never got dated thematically, unfortunately. Like this is the kind of album where like you would think when you're hearing it now, like it would have got better, but it didn't. Like we still need this message almost more than ever now.
Yeah.
Is kind of where I was blown away again by this track. The beat is sick. Mos Def's like, it's just that the way he delivers this track has this casual arrogance. Like, what you expect, man? Like, are you guys fucking like he's just
like even like the guys who are like going in the cars and like listening to music with like the windows down and blasting it and like drawing attention to themselves, you know, like, and they're like showing off that they've got money kind of, and like they're just young and dumb. Like you're gonna get in trouble. Like something bad is gonna happen to you. You're from the hood. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Well, I wouldn't just say from the hood. Like I do agree after hearing it. After hearing both you guys conversate about it, I do agree. Like I've been in positions where people are like, "Oh, you know, I got my iPod stolen. I got my phone stolen." I'm like, "Well, if you weren't flashing your fucking iPod around, you know?"
Yep.
Like
So yeah, it's a very universal message. Don't floss your wealth. Don't let them know how much you have. Just keep it a secret, and then you'll always leave them in mystery, and that's a smart thing. Anyway,
isn't that like the G code anyway?
5 on 5. This track is fucking flawless.
Straight 5 on 5.
I gave it another 4. I'm sorry.
That's okay. UMI Says.
All right, let's find out what she says.
My UMI says, shine your light on the world.
Mos Def just kind of let loose here. Didn't follow the rules. Just kind of expressed himself. He was
This
like,
was so beautiful.
he just
He
like,
was
I
very
don't
hippie.
want to write anything down. I just want to let it all out. I like appreciate this song more than I like it. So like lyrically, it's dope. It really is. It's like he's a broken man and he's acknowledging it. He's acknowledging like his sadness and stuff. But at the same time, he just has this like, I gotta get. He just keeps moving on. He just keeps rising up. He just keeps grinding. He's like, ah, man, like I ain't no perfect man. I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. I heard that line and I'm like, I empathize with that. Like it's just so universal. So like, you know what? This is the cards you're dealt. All right, use that. Start somewhere. At least start building the process. Like you just feel like his failings, his frustration, his desire to get back up and fight. Like people are weak. Sometimes I feel like crying. Sometimes my heart gets heavy. Sometimes I just want to leave and fly away. Sometimes I don't know what to do with myself. And it's like, wow, like you just heard this mighty destruction rap guy.
It's the ultimate.
And then he's just like, but I'm so human underneath it all. And you're just like, you really do want to hang out with Mos Def.
Relatability 101.
Well, I mean, like what it is that, you know, Umi was saying was live every day like it's your last. And like it has, like, like that feeling, like, and he wants like black people to like be free and like, be united and have understanding and like all this stuff, and like it's very like hippie and like love, and it's very sweet. It's very, I mean, like the way he speaks is like quite free. He just, like you said, he doesn't write any of it down. He just writes from his soul, like it just comes out.
And like the music video just has him bopping around the studio, dancing around, cutting with extra images of stuff, interloping into it, and it just looks like he had the best time in the world making a song.
Well, the instrumental to this is fucking beautiful.
It's very like jazzy, right?
It's jazzy, but it's got this smooth melodic, like if you want to get creative, it's like this magical forest type thing, like
well,
this,
like
this
the
very,
fair,
like some type of fairy forest thing. I don't know. I got this like this
very mystical.
This mystical feeling while listening to him go through. It's like a dream. It felt like a I guess a twisted fantasy is a better word, because it was just so lucid that I fell in love with this song. 5 on 5, dude, straight up.
Wow.
I give it a 4.5. As much as I respect and appreciate the talent, and I get why it should be a 5 to everyone else, but it's totally not my cup of tea.
You hate anything that has jazz in it, so
not
that makes
anything,
sense.
But like, I love the message of the song, and I like his delivery, but I'm never gonna go back to it on like a preference front. Like, I'd put the album on and I'd leave it on, but
like this specific song,
this song I would never seek out, especially when there's like a track like Miss Fat Booty I could go bump. Now, don't get me wrong, this might be the best YOLO song I've ever heard in my life, because it really is truly great messaging, but like Mos Def doesn't have bad messaging, so saying that now, it's kind of like, okay, I've already said that before. Anyway, 4.5 on 5. It's near perfect from my preferences point of view.
Nice. I also gave it a 4.5. I mean, like I said, it's lovely.
All right, New World Water would be our next move.
And I ain't got time trying to be Big Hank. Fuck a bank. I need a 20-year water tank, cause while he's
Hold on, just wait.
Let's talk about this New World Water. This song is, again, an interesting parallel. So, after a bit of thinking, I think it's directly talking about the capitalization of the water industry around the world. The destructive impact of it, how fucked up it is that a resource that used to be free-flowing and etc. has been pumped full of chemicals and shit, like you're going to pay $1.25 for it so freely. And if you guys aren't careful, you guys are not taking me seriously, but one day you're going to be needing to like pay like Nestle or whoever he said.
Coca-Cola. Was who he was implying.
Coca-Cola was was interesting. You just sparked it. Was the intro was spoofing a Coca-Cola ad for like water, right? And
yeah.
There was a specific Coca-Cola ad. I kind of remember that ad playing that he was anyway.
This reminds me of the skit from Deltron.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's got great lines. Like, it's the new world water and every drop counts. You can laugh and take it as a joke if you wanna, but it don't rain a full week some summers.
I got a.
And, like, that's an interesting point with, like, climate change coming in. And then just consider 2011, 2012, the drought in California.
Yep.
And all of these things that have come true. I think it's Nestle's the evil corporation with all the water practices that are really bad.
Well, around the world, they take people's, they go to India, they go to Africa, and they take those resources and they, like, drain them dry, and they send them to, like, North America, where we get to drink them.
That's in the song. And they're talking about how they go to these places, they pollute all of this shit just to sell it, like, back to people. They, like, ruin lives. Like, oh, man.
What used to be free, you now have to pay for. They're killing fish. They're making fish weird. They're, like, I don't know, like, all, like, the sea life, it's because of all the chemicals and whatever being dumped back into it, and they're making this water. I don't know. I can always get behind any of these, like environmental, political, like, yeah, let's do it, let's change things.
But it's also, like, heavily paralleled with the lust for money, and how, as much as it's the New World Water, it's spoofing the idea that the New World Order of what we're embracing is this desire to go for money and all else, while using the capitalization of water as a very specific example. So it's doing these two things all at the same time in the way he's delivering these rhymes.
I'm glad that you brought up that connection, because I did get a sort of feel like I didn't understand a lot of the water references in terms of I'm not that educated on how these companies.
Well, let's say that everything he said is literally happening.
Yeah.
Fine. I also got this feel of like the other side of the message or the other side of the coin type feel that he's also talking about like money, how we're kind of just feeding off media, like whatever we're told from like TVs or politicians is like we're just consuming it. Like here, buy Fiji water, buy smart water. You pay for both, and you mindlessly just buy this stuff because we're told to.
He mentions Evian water, and like Evian spelled backward is naive. And like I find that it's like I don't know if that was done on purpose or if like some like weird marketing thing, but I mean it's true. I mean I think they were like the first like big like bottled water company, and it's like, are you naive that you're buying water when you can just turn on your tap?
The biggest troll of life, if that's true.
Yeah.
Like shit.
And that he wants to have like a 20-year water tank where he can put like a whole bunch of water in it and like, you know, and keep it safe so he can just drink his own water. He doesn't have to deal with any of this stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool that he's like bringing up this whole side of things, that he is like, he does care about the environment, and everybody should care about the environment, you know, no matter, it doesn't have to be hippy dippy like la 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 music, you know, it can be like hip hop, like hardcore, like hardcore music, you know, where he makes like this
it's
message.
Right dead set at the middle point of the album too, right? This is the halfway point in terms of the track list, and it's this environmental friendly about the root of all. And I like the Wu-Tang references at the end where he does the cash roll everything around me. I mean, this song is really brilliant, but there's something about the beat that grinded my gears a little bit. So I'm giving it a 4, although the concept is fucking beyond next level.
I can't not love it. I gave it a 5 on 5.
I gave it a 4.5. The beat wasn't as strong as I thought it would be, or at least I guess I felt it to be. But other than that, I like the rhyming. I like the affection and the passion that he put into this to make it so hard hitting so we can listen. So cool. 4.5 on 5.
Let's talk about rock and roll.
I am descendants.
The song comes in, it's very smooth and nice. It's so family friendly and beautiful, calming and peaceful. He starts singing about his influences. Oh no, really? It's like
this is going.
Right away, it starts off with like the Wizard of Oz, like monkey chant.
Yeah, no, I was just playing, but it's like it's crazy because like the song is kind of addressing straight up the. He starts describing like his history, like where his grandma comes from, and how the slaves used to sing for like to peace of mind and things like that, etc. And how that essentially, if you look into the history, is what turned into blues and rock and roll and all of that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he's just
gospel.
He's tracing it down that this is black people who kind of came up with this stuff from a historical point of view. And then he got lines like, I said Elvis Presley ain't got no soul. Chuck Berry is rock and roll. Damn right.
John Lennon apparently said that, I think it was Chuck Berry, is like the king of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And he's black.
In my opinion, Chuck Berry, as I understand, is one of the key cornerstones of the rock and roll empire.
Yep.
And then you may dig on the Rolling Stones, but they ain't come up with that style on their own. And then, like, as the song progresses, he starts kind of describing the influences of who he sees as real rock and roll. Mm-hmm. But what he's saying is rock and roll in the same way he was saying being black is hip-hop. He's saying being black is rock and roll. And
it started with them.
He goes after Korn. He goes after Limp Bizkit. You don't understand. This was hard to take these hits. These are bands and stuff I really like. But what he's pointing out is how these people kind of are stealing their culture. And they're not really what rock and roll's about, per se. I mean, I love Korn and I like Limp Bizkit. Anyone who doesn't like Limp Bizkit, I get it. But I like Limp Bizkit. And so, like, but I can see where he's coming from, especially at this time. It must have been, like, a really interesting thing, especially at that point where everyone believes that rock and roll is created by white people. Now, I say this from a perspective where I totally acknowledge that white people appropriate black culture all the time. Hell, the biggest reason that this channel exists is because I'm a white rapper, and I do not want to appropriate black culture without understanding what the fuck I'm doing. So here we are, studying guys like Mos Def.
Yeah.
Talking about songs about how white people steal black culture as we're white people talking about black culture with the ultimate goal of profit.
Oh my god, cultureception!
Irony! So just saying, aware of what we're doing. But yeah, I love this song. And then.
And
just when you thought this song was doing great,
it gets 10 times
it goes
better.
So punk rock.
So
you don't
punk
understand.
rock.
I like I flipped my lid. I wasn't expecting the most punk rock thing to have heard all fucking like year to be on this Mos Def album.
What? Just a hardcore guitar riff?
No, that was just straight punk rock to me. Like he's straight screaming the way he's doing it all, and he is rock and roll to his fucking core. And in the same way that he rapped fast to prove that he had the spirit of it in him, he empirically proves he has the spirit of punk rock in him in his song.
It proves that he can just do anything, and that he's breaking the rules about like what like hip hop should be, and like you know, throwing in this stuff like right into the middle of it.
Well, that's funny because the rules of hip hop, and not to go at you, Bonnie, but like I've always felt that hip hop has always been about expression and expressing yourself. So if we're gonna sit here and put rules on it, that's a main rule, isn't it? Like a lot of rappers have always talked about expressing themselves.
The point of it is that
get it out there.
It's like black people need to be aware that they are rock and roll.
And like that they're descendants of slaves, and they're the ones who like made this, you know, what she talks about, that
and
made
I think
this
that, but
song,
on top of that,
make this kind of music.
It's just to point out that even he, Mos Def, can rock out. So look, if he can be rock and roll, and then he just went and made the most rock and roll thing you could hear kind of thing just to prove the point. I think it's brilliant. This track's a 5 on 5. It gives you a lot to think about. And unfortunately, I bet there's still a lot of people who aren't aware that, you know, the Rolling Stones aren't the greatest rock band of all time.
I mean, there's, you know, a song about a Rolling Stone, and then there's, I don't know, like, I just love that there's, like, that James Brown, like, kind of scream or whatever it is that he does, like the wow! And then, you know, he talks about Jimi Hendrix and, like, my boy Otis Redding and, like, you know, all these great, like, you know, artists that were, like, the soul of rock and roll. And, you know, like, I just thought it was great. Like, I mean, and this song, like, when it changes, it's, like, blows your mind. It's a 5 on 5. It was just wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Song's super great. 5 on 5. The mix with the rock and roll at the end, the hardcore punk thrash, fucking just energetic rage that's there is
throwing words.
Amazing. And it was cool that he acknowledged and is trying to show the message of, like, you know, we're taking like their culture, we're taking their styles, and that's something I've also noticed. Like, as much as I do it and I try to look like your stereotypical rapper or whatever, it's still not like, it wasn't created by us. It wasn't created by me. So it's not like original. But
like with this song, it's like he's taking it back. You know, he's taking back that rock and roll, and he's like making it his own. And he's like, you know, this is my music. Why are you guys all taking it? And he's giving them something new to listen to.
I guess what you're all saying is he just wants you to know that.
That's true. He does.
Talib Kweli shows up, and I like him. Yep. He's the other half of Black Star, as I understand it, with their album that we'll inevitably get to. So don't worry, when you request it, we'll inevitably get to it.
Yep.
And you know, and they're both like talented nerds, and they both have, you know, similar sound.
Really cool. I like Talib Kweli a lot, actually. Him, I've really come to appreciate as I've seen him in the different songs along the way. He had a song about Lauryn Hill that made me spend like 2 hours just reading about Lauryn Hill one day just because of his song. Anyway, I think it's called Miss Hill. It's dope. But this track kind of has them just kind of flossing around here, but really flossing their code of honor and their ethics, like what drives them and what motivates them. Anyway,
that they're both godly men, that they're both... Did you have something to say?
I wanted to quote a line.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I quoted I think it's the first line. He goes, "Yo, I'm trying to make $1 out of what makes sense." And I like the double entendre and the play on word with
double entendre.
Yes,
don't
that's
you
how.
French?
That's
Chris, it's double entendre. I've been saying it wrong for weeks. I keep hearing it in editing and forgetting to correct you. Double entendre.
Oh, well, see.
Double entendre. Anyway,
I like the play on words. With, you know, just trying to make some sense into dollars, trying to flip the coins or whatever. But I also like the realness in he's just trying to make money of what he understands, and music is what he understands.
I feel like it's also to make money off of common sense, off of what's right, what's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can get
don't
behind
wanna
that
make,
as well. That's very clear
cheap
too.
shots.
That's because then if you like go into what the rest of the song explores, it's a lot of like purity almost in a sense. But no, that's a great line.
But they don't want to make money the cheap way or like the sinful way. Maybe like they want to make money. They want to make money by doing something that's good. That's
meaningful.
Yeah, that's gonna mean something. Because I mean, these guys are both talking about that they care about women and that they love God and
Hold on.
like
I
all
actually
these
wrote
things.
something down from Talib Kweli on that.
Yep.
I follow the code of honor like a real man gonna never disrespect no woman because I love my mama. And then I thought about Hobson. These cats can be giving
Yes.
us praise, but
Was
it
it in
ain't
this
that
one?
accurate. I give it up to God and all that love and attachment get. No, I was just saying, because when I heard this line, I specifically thought of Hobson's when we just did the No Shame review. So that's up in the corner in case you're curious. And Hobson was very disrespectful to women on this review. And I thought of Talib Kweli and then Hobson at that moment just because it was so fresh
I
in
also
my mind.
make reference to Hobson, but in a different song.
Ooh. But yeah, so I also thought Mos Def was sick, though.
I am not ready for this entire
So
thing.
check this thing. The streets is watching me. I watch the back. That's the policy. Like, you never hear a rapper say that. Moving along my odyssey like blood through the artery. Navigate the treacherous and make it seem effortless. And it's just like, you get the feeling that while Mos Def is pious and righteous, he's also G as fuck.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about this.
But it's this, I get this, like, oh, don't kill me, but like Jay-Z feel, because Jay-Z was a G, right? But he also expressed, like, I don't get my hands dirty. I don't do, like, I'm the one calling shots and making moves, and I know
Jay-Z is
people.
more,
Similar,
So I'd say
maybe.
Jay-Z's more of a sinner turned saint kind of thing.
Okay, maybe that's a little bit like of
I
a far reach for
feel
me.
Like, whereas
'Cause,
Jay-Z did it for the love of the dollar, Mos Def is doing it for the love of God.
Well, okay,
And
in
his
that
people.
aspect, yes. What I'm trying to say is, like, I've always looked at Jay-Z having this, like, suit tie mafioso type mentality, and I feel like Mos Def is, like, somewhat like that. Like,
But Mos Def
he's
doesn't
a boss,
have,
but he's very
not
proper.
like a suit and tie
But
mentality at all.
proper, like proper.
But what I'm saying is that's making him sound like a capitalist, and he's kind of like saying I want to get money because I got to, but really I want to make sure I can get by. It's more like he's more like a hippie than he
Yeah.
is. He's more like the opposite of Jay-Z, because
Okay.
Jay-Z is all about the cheddar, and I feel like
Well, and even he's like, he obviously doesn't floss. We're kind of covering
Jay-Z's
that. and-
all about flossing. He wrote a whole album about art-ish because he was trying to floss how much wealth he had. I just can't put the comparison of Mos Def and Jay-Z
But they're both from like the
ideologically.
same place, right?
Well, is Marcy
York.
Brooklyn? I
New
don't know.
York.
No, I mean I get the comparison of how they both take a tactful, think it through, strategic approach.
Yeah.
So that is They're both smart. So yes, I'll agree with you. Jay-Z and Mos Def and Talib
Yes.
Kweli are all smart.
They're all
men.
smart. They're all
Yes.
smart.
There, we
buddies.
found the comparison. But look, I gave this a 5. I love Talib Kweli's flow. It's so grimy and fun.
I want to say a little bit heavy spoken word, because like
Nah, it's just his. I mean, maybe, but it's his off-time grimy flow.
that. There it is. There was a lot of off time on his flow that really makes you
I'm so attracted to
more.
it.
Yeah.
I get more into I was more into his flow than Mos Def. Like, listen, like they're both great, but I like Talib Kweli's flow a little bit more than I like Mos Def. So it was very exciting. It's a 5, man. This beat was great. The fucking feel on this track was great. It was fucking alive. Like, fucking alive. It makes me want to review Black Star. Like, that's what happens when I hear this. It makes me want to go and review
I
their
don't
album.
think this is next week's album.
It's not.
It's not.
Next
It's got to
week
be a
is-
girl next week.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
episode 40.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, if you guys can think of a girl rapper that's fucking dope that you want us to review with a classic album so that we don't have to look that hard on Google, please. This is a good time to sneak your female rapper recommendations in now.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, I gave it a 4.5. I thought it was good. There was a good message. They want you to just stay you and like be proud of who you are, and you don't need to like floss or I don't know. You don't need to change to be you. You can be a nerd. You can be smart. And I find that their flows like together, like they sound so good together, and I think that they're like a perfect mix.
So you're looking forward to covering their album one day?
One
Did-
day.
did you say?
One day. One
Say
day.
it, man.
One day.
Okay.
Let's climb.
Okay, so this track is kind of like about the nighttime and like the general feeling of it
Makes
in
you
a
lonely
sense.
Well,
and
he's-
sad.
He's
Anyway,
getting into
so
his brain and his emotions, and he's expressing his he's touching upon his paranoia, like I talked
and
about.
the whole
earlier.
way through, Vinia Mojica is singing in perfect harmony with him. I really liked people climbed into the night like cool whales, shiny bottles in their hands, drinking their new selves, and then this line. They say it's their true selves, and that really got me thinking about addiction and the way people are and how they feel like they have to be under the influence to function and to be a person and all. Anyway, my brain went spinning on that. But then my problem with the song is I just don't like the sound.
Yeah, it's a bit too slow. It's
I
like
like this.
it's jazzy, but like
I can see the appeal, and
yeah.
it's excellently composed. It's really well made, and the spacey, everyone doubled over. It's everything it's supposed to be. It's just so in a sphere of shit I'm not into, and it's kind of calmer on the slower. It's not really a rap song as much as it's more of an expression again of emotion.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of my UMI, except less good. I mean, I don't know. Maybe y'all like it. If you can tell me why it's brilliant in the comments, I'm very happy to hear your opinion. But I give this a 3 because to me it was the only song I felt kind of bored on this album.
This is a very beautifully made track. The harmonizing with both vocals are amazing. He's very calm, very relaxed. I get this feeling that he knows that he's dealing with certain stuff, and he's not just acknowledging it, but as well like openly questioning it right now, and he's allowing us to question it with him. And I think that connection that he's trying to have with I guess the listeners or his fans, or even in his music with himself, is just super beautiful. 5 on 5.
Wow.
I get everything Chris said, actually. That's what I said. Like, I can appreciate what he was going for. I think he's right. It does. Imagine this in a dark room, 40 people in the audience, all the instruments being played live. You're on a date. Mos Def is singing this with some lady. Yeah, that's the kind of vibe for this track.
Yes, but that's
like,
not.
That's just
Dinner and a show.
That's just not really me.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to really, whatever.
I also gave it a 3. It was, just instrumental. Like I said, for me, it was too slow. I mean, it's all about him overthinking and climbing out of the darkness, and like he's obviously in like a weird spot, like in his mind right now. It's probably the lowest grade I gave on this album.
Agreed. Same here. All right, let's move on to Brooklyn.
Okay.
Goes out the Crown Heights and Smurf Village, the 90s, and all my yard at Trinity Brown's Village, Parkside.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Woo! Yeah, so what a fucking great homage to start. I love Under the Bridge. When I started playing bass back in the day, it's one of the first songs I learned because it's so amazing. So hearing that little shout out by like the city of Brooklyn, of course,
Yeah.
it was dope. And then he like spells out Brooklyn a bit. I mean, he just like lays into Brooklyn and he kind of thinks back on it. And he's got lines like walk the streets, like a sweet and get beat like drum tracks, catch no shakes over Jakes. And because of all of you in the comments, I
Yep.
know what Jakes are. We bust back, bring the Marty to your face with no place to run back. I'm from the slums that created the bass that thump back. And you're just like, shit.
That's cool.
He's like dealing with the guns and the cops and shit, but then at the
Yep.
same time, he's from the place of hip hop's birth. Woo!
I felt like he gave 3 different type of Brooklyn attitudes with the 3 different verses.
Yeah, sorry, that was beat 1.
Yeah, there is the 3 different beats, 3 different types of attitudes, 3 different types of vibes, all. And I feel like he really went. I feel like he took the time to get to know. Like obviously he knows Brooklyn, he knows his hometown.
But so the first verse is kind of like Brooklyn as he is his memories. His
Yes,
pleasant.
yes.
Verse 2 is kind of criticizing the people who have now shown up, the gentrification efforts, shit, who are like people who have shown up and are like check it. 1 year as a resident, deeper sentiment, shout out, go Brooklyn, they represented it, sipping on their front steps, sipping Guinnesses, using native dialect in their sentences. So if you consider what's happened to Brooklyn all these years later, and we see the impact of these hoods and the gentrification efforts and shit like that, he's saying, look at these people who are, and even beyond that, even just other hood types, even people who maybe, whatever, guys who show up, be there a year and be like, yo, Brooklyn for life. It's like if somebody
and starts talking like the OG Brooklyners.
It's like if you, who just showed up in DG, started shouting DG for life versus me. DG's a Montreal hood where I live.
It's NDG, actually.
NDG, yeah. So it's where I live. But, like, I grew up, like, right next to it. So for me, it's practically home because, like, it's literally, like, I went through these streets all the time as a kid. And then Chris shows up for a minute, and all of a sudden he's rapping DG till he dies. And I'm like, bro, you just got, like, what? Like, you don't know. Like,
Right.
And I get where he's coming from. And it's kind of like...
But you can love it that much that you want to make it your own, and that's what they do in Brooklyn.
I think what his problem is you're coming in and you're trying to steal their language, and it's in the same kind of like, yo, you're not Brooklyn. You pretend like you're Brooklyn.
Like, you haven't been here long enough to be one of us.
And like you've been here like a year, you know, like you just showed
One
up.
of us, one of us.
And then that third verse when it flips into the Who Shot You beat, it's just like the hard side of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it just gets grimy and crimey, and it just kind of ends it with like, this is some real shit. I've never heard an ode to somebody's home quite so eloquently delivered that both kind of reflects on the past, the present, and in a sense the fear of the future.
Yep.
All in one song. So it's like all the Christmas ghosts rolled into the Brooklyn package, blowing out of the fucking water. Like, Mos Def has impressed me multiple times on this album, and he just impressed me again with another flawless 5.
Oh, wow. He obviously loves his gritty city. He, he's reflecting a lot on this song. He talks about, that he has to be true to God, that he has to, and live what it is, and that there's crack babies, and there's, if you kill someone, you're not just killing, like, anyone, you're killing the son of someone, and, it's, like, the life that the mother's gonna have to deal with when you kill someone in, like, Brooklyn. And it's like all of this kind of stuff that's like going on around him in his area, and like he's just kind of like, wow, this is a lot that's going on, but he still loves it. But for me, like, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't a 5 on 5. I gave it a 3.5. I thought it was good, but I don't know. I'm not from Brooklyn. Maybe I didn't connect.
Not from Brooklyn either.
I gave it a 4.5 on 5. The only reason why it didn't get a 5 is just by that third verse, as much as it's fucking grimy and banger, I'm kind of tired of hearing about Brooklyn already.
No, never.
Just a little bit.
It's hip hop, man. Like, I feel like
I totally respect it, and again, I'm gonna get killed for this.
No, but it's like, here's the thing. I didn't get tired of hearing about hip hop. I just never got tired of hearing Mos Def. That was me. You can get tired of hearing about Brooklyn. I can hear Mos Def talk about fucking almost anything.
I don't know if I can do that.
I think the guy just can. He could probably describe like a craft dinner experience, like cooking in the box and everything, and make it sound like a God-infused philosophy. And that, to me, is amazing. Anyway.
That's cool.
I'm really enthralled with Mr. Def. Okay,
Nice.
let's talk about our habitat, because as you can see, we're all in my natural habitat.
I guess.
Privilege is just more raw. Less space cause the project laced with more floors. Less sleep cause
A track about the habitat, the natural species of the Mos Def.
Oh
Yeah.
my Jesus. This is a song about home being wherever I felt home being wherever you feel safe, wherever you feel comfortable, wherever you are, and wherever you call home.
I mean, that's like maybe the end of the song, but you're like, okay, so it starts off saying everybody comes from somewhere.
Yep.
So everybody has a home, but it doesn't matter where your home is. It matters what you're doing with your life and where you're at.
Yeah.
And yes,
Not where
Mos
you're
Def
from,
is,
it's where you're at.
so like Mos Def in the very end of the song establishes that he has found within himself the ability to create a home wherever he is.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's underselling what the song's about. I mean, the first verse kind of explores the fact that lots of people come from homes of different socio-political backgrounds, but we all have a home, we all have a struggle, and we all have a desire to grow further. But the poorer you are, the rawer you are, and the more you're grinded and the fire is on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love this line. To the crib where the little kids spend their summers trapped, with the jungle cats, lions, and tigers, leopards, and cheetahs. For gazelle, you get chased like a zebra. They blaze chiba chiba. And dominate the weaker on the street. Hungry bellies only love what they eat, and it's hard to compete. I was like, fuck, that is some deepness. Like, I know what it is to be a little bit hungry, and you really do love what you eat. And, like, in general, just the idea of, like, these kids being trapped in their home. This is their home, their habitat, your starting point. and you're there, and then yes, it evolves into the idea that you can find within yourself the ability to have home wherever you are.
Yeah.
But also this degree of you should never forget where you're from, and that should always be with you wherever you are.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. He talks about like where, you know, how he grew up and what he grew up on, what was around him, and that it was hard, and that, you know, even though it was like troublesome and, you know, a little bit dangerous or whatever, that, you know, it was still his home, and it still is his home. So, I mean, I don't know if he's still currently living in Brooklyn, but
You went all over for a minute.
yeah. So, I mean, I thought it was really cool. I mean, it was, you know, just talking about where he's from, and I don't know. I like the message.
Nice. Well, I pretty much said what I had to say. I think that I really got this like this feel of when you can walk into a place, or if you can walk into anywhere and you feel comfortable enough and you can consider that home, that's home. I mean, it kind of hits me a little personal just because I feel like I may have lost touch of where I come from. I don't really kind of walked out on some of the family members and stuff. So to be honest, like, I don't really know. I may have forgotten where I come from, so I kind of deal with like confusion. And I can feel that from here. I can feel that where like the only place that you call home is your bag, your jacket, and what's on your back.
I genuinely think that the whole first part of the song is...
I'm not disputing that.
No,
Again,
but
I'm not
I mean,
trying to like...
But it isn't just you can be comfortable and find home, but it's also, it's like, it's almost like the song isn't the song without the part where remember where you're from and know where you're from.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So,
Like,
you can't actually find that home you're looking for until you remember where you're from and what you're...
and that's part of my problem.
I know, but you weren't saying that, so I was just kind of trying to like throw something there to make it more about the song. So we can agree that maybe you need to find some roots in your home. I'm okay with that. I give this a 4. I felt the feel of the song was a little fluffier, a little light, a little airier. It was good. But, like, literally, this was 2 tracks about his home back to back.
Yeah.
That was, like, I get that they're different. I just didn't like this one as much.
Yeah, I give this one a 4 on 5. I mean, it was all right.
4 on 5.
All right, let's talk about Mr. Mister. Yeah, I'm not going to...
The best clothes, hottest whips on the road, neck and wrist on froze, checks with old.
We got a song about racism.
Yep.
It's always fun to be the white people talking about a black person talking about white people being racism.
Yep.
Always an interesting position to be in, but
Yep.
let's do it. So the first verse has him kind of showing he's accumulated wealth and all of this shit.
And, like, people are, like, astounded by the fact that he has money or has, you know, anything.
And then, regardless of all of what he has, etc., at the end of the day, the cops still pull him over, put a flashlight in his face over the color of his skin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like faraway places. Or no, that's still... most of what I quoted actually comes from the second verse, which I thought was more interesting. Because I guess it hit more, like, close to home. So it starts off calling white people on the fact that we say the word in private.
Yeah.
I don't. Like, genuinely, I just don't. In fact, I gave Chris a bunch of shit about saying the word in private once upon a time.
Thanks for, you know.
It's okay. Like, look,
We're
I used
learning.
to when I was younger and stupider, and I thought it was whatever. Then I got smarter, and I stopped, like most white people. It's not such a big deal. And then you start to learn about the culture and the history, and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe it is a bigger... Anyway. So I appreciate where he's coming from, how people playing his own music, and just when nobody's around, they'll sneak the word in, like it's cool. And you know what? I see it happen every day in my regular, like not every day, but I see it happen a lot more than I'd like. Every now and again, I try to get into conversation with people about it. It's just frustrating, and so I can only imagine Mr. Mos Def's frustration. And then I don't know, man. Then he's like, he meets this flight attendant. He just like wants to get an autograph for his kid, but. Listen, it's shit like sorry, I'm just looking for where I started. You can laugh and criticize Michael Jackson if you wanna. Woody Allen molested and married his stepdaughter. Same press kicking dirt on Michael's name. Show Woody and Sun Yi at the playoff game holding hands. And you know what?
Yep.
That's fair, man. I mean, often I'll get into the R. Kelly debate on Facebook as to whether or not he's a good person and his music should be purchased, to which I stand by. If you look up and Google his criminal record, you shouldn't support his music because he's a pretty despicable person. But guess what? Woody Allen's a pretty despicable person too. So's the guy who banged Celine Dion. All I'm trying to say is it was just like we could throw in all these other names, and I agree. He's like really trying to draw home here is how fucked up the media is and how they show all the accolades of Woody Allen and like
and I
really
still
go
like
after
his
Michael
movies.
Jackson. And you know what? I've never watched a Woody Allen movie, and after learning about that, I chose that I can't just be like, I'm not gonna bump R. Kelly and watch Woody Allen, so I'm never gonna watch a Woody Allen movie because it's right, it's fucked up, it's weird how he got this pass. I'm not gonna support that shit. I will personally not support that. Anyway, so and then like he talks about the customs people are bothering him, like faraway places, custom agents flagrant. They think dark faces smuggle weight in the cases, bags inspected. Now we arrested. Attention directed to contents of our intestines. Like they're just looking for all of that, man. Like this track was pretty fucking incredible to me. You have Q-Tip flowing in on like the chorus a little bit.
Yeah.
And end of the day, it makes you think. It's a provocative and powerful piece. Everything he says is like on the reel, laid out, and
at the beginning, like of the song, it starts off like him kind of telling like the story of this guy that this is happening to, and then at the end, it is him. Like he's the one who's going through it. Like so, it's kind of like
I missed that.
Like I don't know if it's like if the whole thing is about him or if he's just showing that like he, as a black man, is still going through the same stuff that everybody else is going through, that cops like give, obviously don't care, and that it's like an astounding thing when like, oh, a black person with money, ooh, like
or the
we're
OJ
like
thing and how he got like
years of
innocent after a jury of his peers. He stalked him for 5 years. He ended up going back to jail. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But
anyways, he's out now.
But I wonder, like, if you think about it, if they hadn't harassed him, would he have been in that position to have gone and do that? Or maybe he could have done something more productive with his life. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mr. Mos Def does a lot with this track. I don't know. It's another fucking flawless vibe to me. I think, considering this album, it's a really powerful piece and almost feels like without it, it wouldn't have been this album.
Yeah.
And as a white person, I'm not even offended. I'm like, yo, cute. They're right. They got it. They're true. They're spitting truth,
It's
man.
definitely true. I gave this one a 4 on 5. I mean, as it is true, it's good, but like it's not like my favorite song on the album. So I don't know. And I also don't like the N-word. So I don't know. I mean, I guess having it in there is fine. Whatever. It makes sense because, he talks about like living off of like slave money and like stuff like that. And, and like it goes to show like, the white people, they had all this stuff and they only got richer.
It's like something like we're on this new money, but y'all have 5 generations of cotton money.
Yeah. So
I mean, I personally don't, but yeah, I get the sentiment.
Yeah.
I have privilege. I recognize that. I just didn't get the cotton money.
I don't know. I gave this song a 4 on 5. It's a great song, great message, great flow, but I am not inclined to speak on anything that is said on this.
Yeah, I'm totally not feeling it. I know
like, that. I don't know what to say. I agree. I know that there has been a lot of corruption and a lot of fucked up shit that has happened, but again, I am not knowledgeable.
Just keep in mind, everything you described in this song is relevant almost 20 years later, as if it was just written today.
Yeah.
So just think about that. That's all I'm trying to say.
all right, let's check out some mathematics.
Oh yeah, Mighty Mos Def. What you talking about?
Ways to die from the 7 deadly drills. 8-year-olds getting found with 9 mils. It's simple.
So this is where I referenced or made like a Hobson note in my analyzing of this song, and that you have to know math to rap really well, but you also have to know what's going on in the world, and that was where I'm like Hobson didn't know what was going on.
Oh, Hobson didn't know what was going on.
He wasn't paying any attention.
We spent almost 2 hours bitching about Hobson. I mean, I don't like using that word, but that's what we did. We just went in on his
It was
ethics.
fantastic, though.
It was a great therapeutic session. But no, she's right. Hobson was not aware, and it's basically where all the flaw in this album came, was his lack of awareness. But this track,
like he knows what's going on. He sees what's going on. He's got facts for you.
I
Literally.
like the systematic breakdown on how he kept the mathematical theme throughout the entire song.
well, it's a numbers game, Chris, but shit
Right.
don't add up somehow. Like, I got 16 to 32 bars to rock it, but only 15% of profits ever see my profits. Like, 69 billion in the last 20 years spent on national defense, but folks still live in fear.
Yep.
Or, I like how he starts the verses, like, one for this. So, like, I wrote down the second verses one because I like it better. Like, one, it's one universal law, but two sides to every story. 3 strikes for you bid in your life, mandatory. 4 MCs murdered in the last 4 years. Ain't trying to be the 5th when the millennium is here. Yo, with 6 million ways to die from the 7 deadly thrills. 8-year-olds getting found with not mills. And it's just like, okay, that was sick. But he really goes into a lot of, everything is math. Everything is like reason. And there's like almost laws to the way things are. And if you really understand the math and the logic behind things, you can become more aware of what's going on. Like, you can't write a song if you don't know math. You can't live your life if you don't know math. And he's really kind of breaking it all down to this base element where mathematics is the fundamental essence of everything, which is true. And I've been like a firm believer of it. Like, I'm planning on writing a video on algebra at some point, because here's an algebraic equation for all the motherfuckers out there who tell me who they never use math. So you wake up at 7:03 in the morning, you got to be at work at 9 p.m. It's going to take you X to shower, Y to eat, Z to poop, and you got to plug all these variables and figure out a formula in the morning. That's algebra. It's not harder than that. The problem is the teacher's teaching it wrong. But math is important, and everybody should be on board with math, in my opinion. Mos Def obviously agrees with me.
Someone does.
So at the end of the day, this is the only track on the album I'd ever heard, like really heard. I love this song. I think my favorite line in like all of this album is when it's talking about like the straw. Want to know why the straw that broke the camel's back? Here's the secret: the million other straws underneath it. And to me, it's like everyone's always so surprised when shit happens, but really you just have to go look at what led up to that situation. And whew, 5 on 5.
Wow.
And the chorus is great because it just cuts a bunch of different songs and sampling, and it's fucking fun and greatness.
I felt like he referenced Eric B. and Rakim with their track Mathematics. They made did they make a DJ instrumental song called Mathematics on it?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't remember that.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I also felt that way too because there was a lot of the cutbacks. Oh, it's Asian. Is it arithmetics?
There's Asian arithmetic.
That's true.
It's not mathematics.
Oh, my
so
bad.
I feel like this song is actually about mathematics.
No,
And
I got that.
statistics
I got that. But I also I did enjoy how he broke down like rhyming is all about math and how you add up your words and how you place your proper syllables and use like the 16s and the 32s and how math is essential to life. It was just.
That's everything I just said.
I know. I'm just saying that's why I also like it. There's nothing else. I like the same thing he does.
I mean, there's a lot of numbers going on in this one. They talk about like the 5 million that are still under supervision, once they get out of jail. And that's also like, a very common thing, unfortunately, in the States, that, a lot of black people are in jail, that's what the jails are filled mostly with, and, and like Hispanics and other things like that. And it's less white people. And it's just like automatic for them, and then so it's sort of like they just become a number, and it's hard to see past. It's hard to see a person when you're just looking at a number, and I think that's what he's trying to say in this song. Like it's not like they don't count almost. If that, I guess that's a good play on words there, but
Right.
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it was interesting. It was cool. I gave it a 4 on 5.
All right. If we keep at this, we'll be doing it from May till December. I love this. See, this I feel
this
like
is just instrumental.
See,
of
this is
song.
where I feel like the homage to classic hip hops and giving the instrumental at the end. That's where I feel like. But no.
It made me think of like right away. It made me think of the Vince I always mess up that name. Guaraldi trio, like the people who do the Charlie Brown Christmas like soundtrack. That's what it sounds like. It sounds just like them.
Nice.
I love the fact that you really feel this transition of time feeling over this song and the way it flows in. My personal favorite part is the little end part where it like loops back in that original sample over the later part samples. And it was amazing. Like sometimes these instrumental tracks are like nothing happens for 4 minutes. This one took you on a journey. Like you could almost. It's almost like you picture like a tree or something, and you just watch like like in like fast motion, a year go by, and that tree's leaves changing colors, and then it falls out, and then new tree leaves come.
Okay,
I
like
got
the May
that.
to December kind of like.
Yeah, I got that vibe from it. I fucking felt the grind. I really enjoyed it. It's a 4.5 from 5. Dope ending to this album.
I mean, I gave it a 3.5. It is good instrumental. It's not an awful one, but it's not. I don't know. It is what it is. It just didn't really do anything for me, but it is cool. I do enjoy it.
4.
All right,
Awesome.
cool.
So let's wrap up. I love this album. I think it's a brilliant fucking album, and I think it's going to be an album we're going to review again in the future after a couple of years have gone by, because there's no way we said enough to talk about this album. There's already a whole other podcast where the content they just talk about on this album if we just started over again and ignored everything we said. That's how much density there is here. This is a clear classic. Like, it's a super classic. It's a 4.588. It's like one of the nicer albums we reviewed. It's, if I were to put a top 10 list based off of what we've covered, it's clearly in the top 10 of albums we've encountered.
Cool.
And I'm talking even probably most of, I don't know, I don't have that list yet. Give me a while before I can even rank it, but I have a feeling this album gets placed pretty fucking on that list because it's so spiritually profound, and my soul feels better having meditated on this message.
That's cool. That's amazing that he made you feel like that. I also gave it a classic rating. It's 4.11 for me, so 82%. Definitely worth a listen. I mean, it's like the first time I listened to it, and like the word that I used to describe it was consistent, and like it was just consistent the whole way through, pretty much. Like there's not really like a bad song on it. Like there's songs that I like less, but like it's not like they're all pretty good. Like that's it. I mean, so good job.
4.3.
Nice.
I think that I have to go back and re-listen to it again. I can view it as a classic. I can view why people see it as a classic. It is very lyrical, very dense. It's got a lot of hard-hitting messages. It's not dated. The playability for now is for some people, I guess, amazing. I wouldn't play this mostly. I have to be in a mood to want to listen to this.
You don't ever really go out of your way to listen to dense music.
That's why I stated I have to be in a mood to want to listen to it. Thank you.
If you're in like a hippie mood, it like
just
a resort.
No, actually, no, not true. I've started like when I have my days off, I kind of just wake up in the morning and listen. I'll listen to one of these just a whole hour through and just kind of vibe to it and do my part in understanding why this is a great album.
Cool.
All right. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching us. We appreciate you all. Feel free to let us know what you felt about our review or about the album. And then if you also put that into the comments and hit the like, you're part of the contest.
Yay!
Woo! On top of that, we care about what you think, really. It's not about the contest. It's important. It's a conversation. It's a community we're building. And really, you're the stars, so you guys are awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, we suck.
Anyway, next week is Ladies Week, so let us know what girl rapper, female rapper you want us to cover. And if not,
I have a few ideas.
And then we'll go from there.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Peace
guys,
out.
Bye. Okay, bye.